Welcome back, friends. We are starting a series today called Playing by Ear. And that is a subject that I think many church musicians are a little afraid of, at least the beginning level. Getting started, it just seems like, oh, that's a whole nother level that I cannot begin to attain. I can't begin to understand. So I want to peel back the curtain a little bit and help you, guide you through playing by ear. So today I'm going to start with the Raise a Hallelujah song by Bethel Music. It's been widely popular. It's been out for a little while, so I'm sure you've heard it. And if you haven't, go ahead and take a listen. You can go to YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you go to get your music, and just take a listen. It's a very uplifting and encouraging song. So I'm going to take this discussion today and I'm going to use it in the key of D flat. So this is the original key that they did the recording in. So that way, if you're playing along with the recording, you don't have to figure out transpositions. That's just too much. We're going to do it in the original key. So we want to talk through some of the ideas about playing by ear. So for contemporary Christian music, the basic idea is that we have three primary chords. So you've heard like primary colors. We're talking about three primary chords. We're going to use these chords over and over again. And just about every contemporary Christian worship song, as I say CCM for abbreviation, a lot of your hymns, by the way, if you're interested in that, same three chords. And even if you take gospel music and boil it down without all the additives and extensions, it's still 1, 4, and 5 is the basic premise. So how do we figure out what does that mean? 1, 4, 5. I don't understand these numbers. I only do letters. Perhaps that's you. So here, if we go to the keyboard, I'm in the key of D flat. Okay, so D flat is the name of the key I'm in. So I'm going to build a chord, D, F, A flat, on top of that D flat name, and that's my D flat chord. It is also what we would call the one chord. Whatever the name of the key you're in, that's the number 1. Okay, now I'm going to walk up D flat, E flat, F, G flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is the fourth note above D flat. Okay, so I'm going to make the G flat, or if you prefer sharps, you can call it F sharp, the F sharp chord, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, or G flat, B flat, D flat. That is the 4 chord I'm referencing here. Okay, and then I'm going back to the original D flat. I want the 5th note above. So I'm just going to tap my pinky. There's the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top note of your original chord is the name of the 5 chord. That's A flat. There it is right there, A flat, C, E flat. So those are the primary chords, and whatever key you're playing in, you can do this exercise in other keys, and I'm going to put some more videos up so you can follow. But the 1, 4, and 5, that's your basic premise. So if you are comfortable finding those chords and playing them, you can do a lot by ear. If you're not very comfortable with this idea, I would suggest you go back on my channel and look for something called How to Play a Cadence. So the major cadence pattern is what I'm talking about here. You take those 3 chords and you play them. There's a certain pattern that you can use, certain finger positions in any major key. That's really something that would be so valuable to you as a church musician. It helps you to play it quickly and be able to think on your feet. So if you get called unexpectedly to the keyboard and go, hey, let's play this song, you're like, I don't know it. Well, you could actually get by with those 3 chords. You could play almost anything. So that's a little bit of a nugget of truth I hope you'll take to heart. So for today, we're going to add one more friend. So many times on CCM, we have one minor chord present. So the formula that many songwriters use, yeah, there is a formula, is mostly those primary chords, the 1, 4, and 5, and then we add in usually one minor chord into that. So in this case, I'll go ahead and, spoiler alert, tell you that it's going to be the 6th chord. So 6 notes above D flat. We said 5 was A flat. I'm just going to walk up one more. It's B flat. So is it a major chord or a minor chord? Well, it has to be minor because the D we already know is D flat. That's the name of the key we're in. So we can't have a D natural. Oh, that sounds strange. So it's going to be B flat, D flat, F. So that makes it a minor chord. So again, D flat chord, G flat, A flat. These are all major. And then I'm going to walk up one more. And the last chord that we would add is the 6th minor. Okay, so the exercise that we're going to work through today is going from the verse. So we start with that on the recording. There's these 4 chords, and we've got to figure out what the order is. So you can pull out your recording. If you already know it, you can just hum the tune to yourself and kind of come along with me. So we're going to start at that beginning. I'm just going to go in order of the chords, 1, 4, 5, 6. And what we're trying to do is match the chord with what we're hearing in the melody. So a lot of it will be really obvious. Oh, this chord doesn't match at all. Or this chord might work. So we're going to just kind of do a very simple and easy process. Don't give up hope. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And I will give you the answers for the full chart when we get done with this verse. Okay, so we're starting out. Okay, so I'm just playing that D flat chord wherever you want to place it on the piano. Let's see, she or he goes, raise a hallelujah. So I'm just picking out the tune here. Okay, so I'm getting a D flat and an F. That's pretty good indication that it just might be that one chord, right? Let's try the whole thing. There it is, all the notes. I raise a hallelujah. That sounds good. Boom. Wish it was always that easy, right? Okay, so D flat chord. We go to the next set of lyrics, in the presence of my enemies. So I just went from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. I'm just going up the ladder. Okay, did that sound good? The presence of my enemies. Or presence, oh, that didn't sound right. The presence of my enemy. Your ears tell you, like, that does not match. This is basically a matching game that we're playing for the year. Okay, so then I would say it's probably going to be the 1 chord to the 4 chord, presence of my enemies. Okay, second line, I raise a hallelujah. Okay, so that's the same exact melody. Seems like an easy just plug in, right? Plug in the D flat chord again. We have that D flat and F. So this is where a little bit of knowledge goes with the listening. There's usually a soloist singing this, or if your church does, everybody singing is probably unison. So really, it could be the D flat chord. There could be something else happening. Remember when I said about that 6th chord, B flat, D flat, F? If you look carefully, D flat and F are also members of the D flat major chord. 2 notes are shared between those chords. So one of the tricks that you need to know when you're playing by ear is that there's usually a 4 chord progression in CCM. And if one chord sounds like another, if you thought, oh, that really sounds like a 1 chord on the second time they sing hallelujah, you know what? You're 2/3 right. So don't go, oh man, I just messed it all up. No. You heard 2/3 of it correctly. That's more than half. That's definitely a passing grade. So your ear is finding that, but you want to listen for the quality. This sound is different than, that's the minor chord sound. Some people report minor sounds kind of sad, or maybe it sounds a little more dark. I've heard those terms used from students. So notice the melody is the same. Here's the first line, hallelujah, the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah. See how it provides a little bit of difference where the chord sounds different, it sounds interesting, but the melody, the singers aren't having to change. So that's a little bit of songwriting expertise. If you play by ear, you have to know a little bit of the back door, a little bit of that back end to understand. Okay, and then we have the other part. So raise a hallelujah. Then we go that next part. Louder than the unbelief, louder than the unbelief. Oh, okay, I tried the 4 chord. I don't think that was it. All right, raise a hallelujah. What would that 6, well, I'm sorry, I'm on the second line. I went back to the first for a second. So that is the 6. Okay, the 4 isn't working. Would it go back to 1? Louder than the unbelief. Oh, that's a hard no. Okay, well, who's left? We just played the 6. We wouldn't go from 6 to 6 again. That doesn't make any sense. We tried the 4. We tried the 5. Both hard we tried the 4. We tried the 1. Both were hard passes. So that leaves, out of our 4 chords, we've got the 5 chord we haven't used yet. Louder than the unbelief. Bingo, I've got a match. Okay, so right now, my pattern is D flat, G flat, B flat minor, A flat. That's the first 2 lines of the verse. If you're into numbers, that'd be the 1 chord, 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 6, 5. Okay, so let's plug that in. I raise a hallelujah. Here's the D flat chord. You can do a bass walk if you're by yourself. In the presence of my enemies. All right, we're going to move it to the B flat minor chord here. I raise a hallelujah. just moving down to the A flat chord on louder than the unbelief. Okay, we're halfway through. What do we do now? So this is where you have an exact repeat of the chord progression. So it's 4 lines long, and the first 2 lines create a complete chord progression of 4 chords. So the second half, I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. It's going to be a repeat of that progression. So a lot of times, remember, music is built on patterns. I live for patterns. Patterns are great when you're playing by ear. You want your ear to pick up on those patterns. So therefore, you've got the first verse and, shall we say, the second verse. It's the same pattern. The words are different. So 1, 4, 6, 5 would be that pattern. So I just led you through chord by chord and trial and error. That's how we learn. That's how we work it out. When you go back and play it, I encourage you, this is an interesting idea, I encourage you to go back and instead of singing the lyrics, why don't you sing the name of the chord or the number? So 1 chord here, 4 chord here. What am I doing? I'm trying to talk through the chord progression as I'm playing it. And you know, studies have actually shown that if you're talking through these progressions as you're playing, it actually helps you to internalize it better. So if you're not a natural by ear person, hey, it's worth a try, right? I think it will help. So on the chorus now, we go on. I'm going to sing in the middle of the storm. So I'm gonna sing. It sounds like the melody is here. I'm gonna. All right, so I just tried the 1 chord. I don't think that's it. Okay, let's just go up the chain. What about a 4? Hey, there's a B flat in that G flat chord. I'm gonna sing. So I'm gonna, that part right there. So that's gonna be the 4 chord. All right, I'm gonna sing. All right, so wait, who has an A flat in it? Would be the 5 chord. I'm gonna sing. Oh, it does have an A flat, but that wasn't quite the right harmony. If you listen to the recording, they're singing in parts there. That doesn't sound right. So what's another chord that has the A flat in it? It's got to be that 1 chord, that D flat chord again. Okay, let's put it in practice. G flat, sing, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. And it just stays in that D flat there. Louder and louder. Louder, louder and louder. Okay, so there's that B flat. Maybe it's a G flat again. Louder, that could work. I'm thinking to myself, maybe they'll use a different chord that also has a B flat there. Most of the time you don't repeat a chord in a 4 chord progression until you've played all the 4 chords possible. So let's see, I'm G flat chord to D flat in the middle of, or I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder. Okay, so I'm going to rule out G flat just for a second to see if there's anything else that would sound good there. So it couldn't be the A flat chord because there's no B flat in that chord. But there, oh, okay, so there is a B flat chord in the, there is a B flat in the B flat minor chord. Louder and louder. That sounds really nice. Let's try that. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. Ooh. I think that's it. So if you play that against the recording, you'll hear that match. So sometimes, remember, you'll have common notes between the G flat chord, between the B flat minor chord. We talked about a common notes between the D flat major chord and the B flat minor chord. So you see how these little pieces, you can slide them in and out from this hole to that hole, and you kind of have to play around with it a little bit. Okay, and finally we go to, you're going to hear my praises roar. Okay, so what chord have we not used? We've used G flat, D flat, B flat minor. Well, there's A flat minor again. Let's see if that's right. You're gonna hear my praises roar. So it looks like and sounds like that the second half of the chorus, second line, is 6 minor to 5, B flat minor to A flat. Which if you look up above to the original verse, verse 1, I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. That was also 6 to 5. So I'm finding there's a pattern. The end of the verse and the end of the chorus, both of them use that 6 minor to 5 progression. What changes? In the verses, we start with the 1 chord first, then go to 4. In the chorus, we start with the 4 and then go to the 1 chord. Makes a lot of sense, right? So that gives you a chance to kind of work through, go back and play that and see if you can feel and hear all those changes. The bridge, I haven't talked about that yet. The bridge is going to use, you guessed it, those same 4 chords. So it usually starts with that sing a little louder, sing a little louder. That's actually that same melody line out from raise a hallelujah. So we're going to sit right there and nest on that G flat. Sing a little louder. They usually do that repeat. Da, 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 da. Okay, and then when you go to the next sing a little louder, and it ends on louder than the unbelief. This time the 5 comes earlier. Yeah. And then, so we have the 1 and the 5. Okay, where does it go from there? Sing a little louder, my weapon is my melody. Weapon is a melody. Okay, could it be the G flat? Weapon is a melody. It could be. Could it be the B flat too? Sing a little louder, my weapon is a melody. Okay, so this is where we have a question mark again. Sounds like you could do the G flat, 4 chord, or the 6 chord, the B flat minor. Either one, if you're just listening to one note, just a melody, you probably could put either one in. But if you listen to the chord that's played, and also when the singers are adding harmony, you'll hear that actually it's that darker sound. My weapon is a melody. So if you trace out the melody, not to do a play on the lyrics, that D flat is sung. And then you hear it's a little darker sound. So that's one clue. Look at the difference between that chord, B flat minor and G flat. All I did was change from F to G flat. So that's how close it is. So if that's something you struggle with, like I think I'm really convinced it's G flat, but she's telling me it's B flat minor. Don't be frustrated with yourself. You are hearing 2/3 of the chord. So some of it is you just have to listen to what's going on with the musicians. What is the chord quality? Does it sound like it's happy, a major sound? A lot of people say it sounds happy. Or is it, in this case, the G flat? Or do you hear that it's a minor, a darker sound there? So that takes time. If you don't hear the difference right now, that's okay too. Go back and listen and try to play through those chord progressions and try it both ways. Try it with the major and then try it with the minor. I think you'll hear that kind of, oh, that's it, when you're playing it with the recording, or even if you're playing it in church, you're listening carefully to what the singers are doing with the harmony. That will also help you clue in as well. So the bridge will be 1, 5, and then you have the minor 6 chord and we end with the 4 there. We played the entire song using only 4 chords, 3 primary chords, the 1, 4, 5 chord, D flat, G flat, A flat, and we added in the 6th chord as our minor chord option there. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed that and that you will keep working on playing by ear. It is not unattainable. If you struggle with it, you know it's a skill. You have to keep practicing, keep trying, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. I'll be adding some new songs in soon, and in the meantime, keep practicing and playing for His glory. Thank you so much for joining in. Give this video a like if it was helpful to you, and I'll catch you next time.